Most of the time, dragons are pretty cool, minus the part where they're kind of burning everything down around you. And I think King Krule can agree when he makes the statement of basically not letting the dragon drag on. It's a really cool play on words, and when you listen to the song, it has a very hypnotic and eerie feeling to it. The instrumental doesn't shift at all. It feels like it's almost trapped in this haze, and when we hear King Krule, instead of probably potentially hearing the person, or maybe this is something that he dealt with, it sounds as if it's basically the narrator of this hazy state who is trapped in this situation, feeling as though he can't move. It feels like when you're watching a movie and the camera is slowly zooming in, except when it does, it kind of loops right back, and it feels like we're on that same kind of pathway following a character in this weird series of loops. What I really like about this is that it doesn't have a resolution. It just kind of is this never-ending loop, which perfectly kind of describes the fact that instead of it being sort of, like I said, this kiddie imaginary boss battle, this fairy tale boss battle, it feels as though it's a depiction of depression. Depression being this very powerfully damaging thing where you don't realize that you're getting everything burned down around you. You don't know how to defeat this dragon because it's not fire breathing. Instead, it's you trying to get out of this state. All you can do is kind of be trapped, and it's almost like being in quicksand, or akin to being sort of frozen in time. Even though everything around you is moving, it's sort of unmoving for you because you're in such a deep, darkened state. Now, depression for different people can probably be a little bit different, so I don't want to generalize it, but it does feel as though he's basically kind of saying, like, trying to not let this drag on, but it's like being in your head and being the person trying to drag yourself out of it, but you just are completely stuck, which is why when it loops the way it does, because the song is very short, it's only 2 minutes 39 seconds, when it loops the way it does, it almost feels like, if you listen to it multiple times, it really does feel like you're trapped in this haze with this person, and it's kind of scary. Like I said, it's got a hypnotic, eerie feeling. There's not, the instrumentals they don't riff, there's no guitar riff, there's no nothing to really indicate any kind of shift beyond King Krule's sort of very narration where he mentions self-medication. Not him suggesting it, but the narrator kind of almost not literally bashing himself like violently or anything, but kind of just these little prickly critiques that we've all had of ourselves. Like, why are you doing this? Come on. You just gotta let that negative feeling go. And the idea of self-medicating being like, I'm gonna do this or this to solve it. Unfortunately, self-medicating typically can basically mean trying to use drugs or alcohol or other forms of things that can be sort of fun when you're using them correctly and not damaging. But when you're self-medicating with these things, that's when they get dangerous and potentially fatal. The dragon being depression and sort of making me think, it makes me think about not only sort of a camera just slowly zooming in, but nothing changing. It makes me think of that picture of the serpent eating its tail, and how it just feels like it's a self-defeating sort of state, and it's very, very difficult to escape that state, which is why, I like the fact that since this sort of seems to be a depiction of that depression, there is no resolution in the song. It's very just kind of not matter of fact, but we just simply get to see sort of like a peek into that world, and there's like, it's almost like a barren wasteland, and it's almost like there's a weight to it that isn't fully understood, but it's definitely felt. I really like this song. It's heavy, in a way, but you kind of have, I feel like this is a song you have to listen to a lot of times, not to get it or anything, but to really get the scope of that feeling, which is why he made it so short, because those days pile up, those like hours pile up, and you don't notice when you're in such a sort of horrible emotional wasteland. So, good song. Really like the wordplay. I think it's like I said, instrumentally, it's not doing anything too crazy on purpose. Because if it was just like, yeah, I just overcame it, blah, 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 then it wouldn't have the same effect of sort of bringing you into this metronome and letting you really sort of swim through the same darkness. In a way, it wouldn't have the same effect that it does. So yeah, King Krule asks us to not let... King Krule does not say not let. King Krule says, don't let the dragon drag on, which is difficult, but, you know, I'm not about to sit here and tell Smog what to do with his gold, okay? You can do that. I'm gonna sit my butt over here and be broke. Well, this guy says, you definitely shouldn't let the drag on. You also shouldn't let your arms drag across any rugs because they're made of just needles and death. And you shouldn't let a bad TV show drag on. You shouldn't let a terrible joke drag on. You really shouldn't let an outro drag on because it'd be just way too on the nose. And why would anybody want that? Like, just say your little outro bit and then go. Who does that? Who does that? Who? Luckily, I don't do that. That would be terrible. Wait, is this still rolling?